This was mentioned way back. Luis Campos, who's PSG's football advisor, top guy, we've spoken to him a number of times. It was reported back in the summer of 2022, Graeme, that direct talks with Marcus Rashford's people had taken place between the player, his representatives, and PSG. Now, it's being reported this lunchtime that Rashford could be in a shortlist of potential replacements for as and when the time comes along that Kylian Mbappe moves out of the football club. Do you see that? Do you see Rashford fitting in there?
Big shoes to fill if you're going there. Well, I mean, when I look at Rashford, I'm thinking you've got everything to be a top player, but he's not. You know, if, he's a top. In my opinion, a top player turns up every time they go out and play a game of football. That's not Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford doesn't turn up season by season. Great season last year. I think it was 30 goals, 5 goals this year. So he's not turning up even every season.
You called him United's bad apple in the past.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, I was mentioning Kevin Keegan at the weekend. Tevez would be that. I picked them up because they make other people run around. Kevin Keegan, if you were playing with him, would make you run around. Tevez would make you run around. You know, that influence. Rashford's not, he just seems to go into a shell where he just seems unhappy with everything in his little world. And I'm not seeing a big player in him. And I look at him and he's got all the qualities you would need. He's rapid, he's got quick feet, he can dribble, he can score when he gets there. But there's something missing from him.
You don't see a big player in him?
I mentioned I've got to address the bad apple. That was in reference to him going off to Northern Ireland. And
oh yeah, the night before he trained.
On the lash, yeah. That isn't what you want from a big player. That ain't what you want from someone in your dressing room who's perceived to be one of your big players, your leaders.
I mean, nobody fancies filling Mbappe's shoes. I get that, Alan. But would Rashford be up to it?
Well, by the reports, these reports that usually when they have some sort of foundation, they might be discussing something along the lines. Maybe they've heard that Man United are prepared to let him go. That might be another part of that story. I mean, the bottom line with top players, and you're talking about Kevin Keegan and Tevez. I worked with Tevez, of course, at West Ham. Their enthusiasm and that injection of character into your dressing room, Ian Wright, was very similar. It kind of builds momentum in the dressing room. And obviously, when it's the other side of it, someone who's a bit lazy, doesn't always track back. And I had that with Zaha at times. I was always pulling Zaha in, saying, "Look, you got to make sure you're reflecting the passion that we have to have at Palace for the other players and the fans. You have to understand that, Wilf." And he would get it, and he would be great for a couple of games. Then he would slip back into it. It's just like it was part of his culture.
Right.
And I think with Rashford is very similar. He needs to kind of nail himself down if he's going to be a top player, because at the moment it's the character of the player that is more at question rather than the technical ability of the player. Because the technical ability of the player, I think we all agree, is there.
It's undeniable.
Yeah, we've all seen them.
Yeah,
we've all seen them.
They've all
come
and gone. Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't be the first. But right now, for me, at 25, jury's out on him.
And there's a clip today going around on TikTok and YouTube of Barkley yesterday just dribbling past him and no desire to win the ball back, and little things like that, they add up. You can't have them against you as a player. Don't have them against you.
So that sets him against the likes of and the ones you mentioned, like Tevez, who really means it.
Well, we were an example of players who
here's the best word. Here's the word we're looking for. His style is not infectious. That's the politest thing I could say. Kevin Keegan's infectious. Tevez, infectious. People who want to, Suarez at Liverpool had, infectious. People that, happy to do the hard yards.
Yeah.
Happy to be a team player. Not just about them.
I think when Ronaldo left Man United and he sort of said, and he questions, not very often a big senior player, and we all know his character's like supercharged, right? He wants to create the best for himself, Ronaldo. He wants to be the best product he can possibly be, and he didn't sense that in that Man United dressing room. That was a worrying sign.
Well,
I
he
thought.
did say the young players don't listen anymore.
Well, that's my point.
I saw the incident, the moment you just mentioned, Alan, the Bartley moment yesterday, when he seemed to just glide past Rashford. And questions have been asked about him in that respect before. You would think, would you not, that with Sir Jim Ratcliffe just in the door at the top of the house, watching everything. And Barada, the new director of football, is coming in. Of course, or maybe Dan Ashworth coming in as
ahead
well.
of yourself. Should never get anywhere near that. It should be. I played with players. It's other players that should be doing. If I had done that in the team I played in,
Mano.
They would have got after me. You've been fighting with them at half time. You would have been fighting with them at half time.
With your own players.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we in this together or not? Are we a team? Team. Emphasis team.
Did you have to dish it out much, Graeme?
No.
To players along the way? Certainly not at Liverpool.
No, not once.
See,
not once. Because all the work was done by my predecessors. This is not what we do at Liverpool.
That's right.
So when you become part of that
Fabric.
group, it's what we do.
And what people you got to understand about top clubs, right? And I used to say this and I manage teams mainly in that middle area, bottom area of the Premier League. When you come up against top clubs, the reason they're top clubs, not because technically they're the best players, it's because usually their character is the best. You're coming up against someone who is totally focused on his position. That's what you're up against, 11 of them. That's what you got to beat. And that's what usually you get at top clubs. And,
that's why they're there.
And that's right. And that's why when you Liverpool, Arsenal, you try and name one of their players who's not at it at the moment.
Yeah.
You just can't.
The best players, as a manager, Jim, the best players, you never have to speak to them. They train properly and they turn up on match day. It's the lesser lights you're having to get on to all the time.
But Rashford ain't no any lesser light.
He's the highest paid player, I think, there, isn't
No, hold on.
At United.
Hold on. In what respect? In what category are you saying lesser
Graeme,
light?
you're talking about a big name, high profile player in English football. At the top level of English football.
But you think he's a top player then?
No, I'm agreeing with. I certainly agree with what Alan's just said regards the Bartley incident yesterday. I
No,
think we should be seeing more.
As his career stands right now, you think he's a top player?
Will he be in Germany under Southgate?
What does that mean?
Yes, he will.
What does that mean?
I would say he's a top player, but he certainly could give more.
Well, give me your definition of a top player then.
Is he an elite player? I wouldn't say he's an elite player. No. Top player. He's a top name in English football. He's a top name. No.
Well, no.
Do you think he's a top player, Alan?
Well,
in
He
the
has the
English game?
potential to be one.
Has the potential. He's been
He
there a
scored
long
5.
time.
What does that mean? He scored 5 goals this year. He's got 30 last year, and that 9-month season, he was a top player. He was a top player.
But not this season.
But in football, what's the old say? You're as good as what?
Your last game.
Yeah.
In this case, as good as his last season.
He'll be in the plane to
his
Germany.
record, I think, was it like 86 goals in 260 odd games or whatever it is.
81 goals, 263 games.
Yeah. So
That's a game every 3 1/4 goals. That's
Yeah,
not a top striker. That's not a
yeah.
stat that says, I am a top striker.
I think there's a lot of things that he's done great in his career, and he's been great for England at times. And some of the things he done off the pitch with, in the charity stuff that he done was brilliant.
Yeah.
But
He has a potential to be a worldie.
Yeah, and he has got a massive profile, perhaps higher than his ability
see what
kind
Jim,
of deserves.
see what
If
Jim,
you know what I mean?
He's a top player. He's got a big name. What are you on about?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.